A female swan suddenly lost consciousness and collapsed into the icy waters of the lake. The male swan refused to leave her side, staying close and desperately shaking his unconscious mate with his beak. It was as if he had lost all sense of reason, repeating the same frantic motion again and again. Yet no matter how hard he tried, he could not wake his sleeping partner. Witnessing the swan's helpless despair, a man standing nearby felt powerless. With a silent prayer, he reluctantly prepared to leave. Unexpectedly, the male swan rushed toward him, letting out a series of sharp, urgent cries. The heartbreaking sound seemed like a desperate plea for help. The intensity of the cries was like a string stretched to its breaking point. The man could sense the swan's desperation and anxiety. When the swan gently grabbed the man's pant leg with its beak, as if urging him to act, the man could no longer suppress his compassion. He immediately borrowed a kayak from the lake's caretaker and paddled toward the location of the female swan. To his surprise, the swan had used the last of her strength to crawl into a patch of dense reeds. The man quickly pushed aside the branches and carefully lifted her out. At that moment, the female swan was barely breathing. Without wasting a second, the man paddled back toward the shore with all his strength. The male swan watched everything from nearby. Suddenly, it let out a long, sorrowful cry filled with worry and longing for his mate. Once they arrived at the veterinary hospital, the doctors immediately began emergency treatment. Fortunately, after a period of intensive care, the female swan finally survived the critical stage. However, she still needed to remain under medical supervision until she fully recovered before returning to the lake. Meanwhile, the male swan stayed alone on the lake day after day, looking lost and lonely. He often gazed quietly toward the direction where his mate had been taken, as if hoping she would return. Soon, under the man's attentive care, the female swan recovered quickly. Her condition improved steadily, and she gradually regained the strength needed to survive in the wild. As soon as she was ready, the man eagerly brought her back to the lake where she belonged. When the male swan saw the familiar figure once again, he could no longer contain his joy. He rushed excitedly toward his mate. After such a long separation, the reunited pair nestled closely together on the water, expressing the longing and devotion that had endured through their life and death separation. Perhaps the deepest form of love is the courage to act even when the odds seem impossible. It is the silent cry that bursts forth in moments of despair, the unwavering determination that refuses to let go, even when gripping the edge of someone's pant leg for help. Swans may not understand human rules, yet in moments like these, they seem to understand the meaning of loyalty and devotion better than many people. Just when it seemed the story had come to an end, something unexpected happened a few days later. A pair of swans appeared in front of the man's house. They stood quietly at the entrance, causing no disturbance, simply bowing their heads repeatedly, as if expressing their gratitude. After a moment, they quietly left. In the days that followed, the man often saw the swan couple passing near his home. People walking by would stop to interact with them. The man would even bring out rice grains that his wife had carefully stored and feed them. The two swans ate happily, and their trust in the man grew stronger. Sometimes, they would even wander into his yard as if visiting an old friend. Before long, the swans welcomed new life, their young cygnets. The man continued to look after them, often bringing food, while the swan family would return to visit him with their children. A deep friendship gradually formed between them. In the end, the most healing miracle in the world is not the miracle itself. It is the unwavering love of a swan that refuses to give up, and the compassionate hand of a human who chooses to help without hesitation.